Hi, my name is Nick Cook and I'm with Sleep Sound Property Management. I want to give you an update on some of the changes that occurred on January 1st of 2016 for Oregon landlord tenant law. Now, I'm going to give you kind of an overview instead of just detailing out each item, but I want to give you the highlights so you have an idea of what to look for. Now, one of the first changes they made was to expand non-compliance fees. So non-compliance fees include a limited list of items they've added to it, pet waste from companion and service animals, which is nice because previously it just said pets, so it wasn't quite clear. So if somebody does have a companion or service animal and they're not cleaning up after it, you can send them a non-compliance notice, and that will result in a fine if it's the second or third notice. Now, they've also changed the rules around unauthorized pets. So if a tenant has an unauthorized pet, they've increased the fine that a landlord can assess, which is up to $250. One of the third items that they changed was in Oregon, landlords can require tenants to have renter's insurance, although there are a few exemptions. Landlords are now required to inform residents of those exemptions, and so if they don't, they could be fined. A landlord could also be fined. One of the things that they added is if they assess a fee that they're not allowed to assess. So if they assess a fee for $300 for something that they're not allowed to assess for, the damages is actually twice the amount, so it would be a $600 fine. So that is one of the additional items that they changed. Now, they've also added a couple of things where HOAs, if they make assessments or charges to the tenant for not complying or for moving in or moving out, or just assessments to the entire building, if these costs are passed on to the owner has the ability to bill those back to the tenant. They've also made that change to expenses that come from utility or public service charges. So for example, if the city of Portland wants to charge money to clean up leaves outside of a property, and that expense goes to the landlord can bill that back to the tenant. There's a lot of exclusions in this rule, but it does give some groundwork for many expenses that are oftentimes attached to utilities or public service charges. One of the other things that they did is they defined what a bedroom is differently, and they also required that you have to have more than one exit than just the front door. So that's some additional items. Usually that's not an issue for most landlords. And then also they went through and updated some rules around domestic violence, that if the property is damaged by somebody who's a victim of domestic violence, that victim would not be responsible for those damages, even if it was somebody that was their guest or somebody that was living in the property with them on a lease. They're creating an exemption for that. So these are some of the big changes that happen with landlord tenants. One of the other ones that's a major change is that if a tenant owes you money, and you notify them of money owed, that's, for example, something that's non-rent related, maybe it's for damage or maybe it's a late fee or something like that. If you notify them within the first 3 rental periods, it extends the effective date of that notice up to 12 months, which is great because the time period prior was much shorter. So these are the changes that occurred on the first of the year, I should say, and will be impacting rental agreements and will change the way that we operate and address some things. And so it's important that you have an understanding of these rules, whether we're managing a property for you or if you own property that you're managing yourself.